How do you see your role as Mayor, and how do you think you'll best achieve your goals?
Look, I see the role of the Mayor as being, and as councillors, of being the conduit between the community and council and the staff. We certainly find out what the concerns are of the community and their visions and needs, and we also then have lots of conversations and workshops with council staff about how we're doing things like waste, water, how our finances are. So we're certainly that's our role, is to talk about what we need to do together and how we can get the best results for all the people in the Shire. Also, I think one of the really important ones is advocacy and what we do outside of the Shire to ensure that we get fairer funding, to ensure that we're getting real action on climate change, to ensure that our water is safe and secure into the future.
And what skills do you think you need to strategically steer an organisation like council?
Look, you need people skills. You need communication skills. You need to be able to listen. You need to be able to talk to those issues. You need to be able to ensure that the right messages are getting through to the community about what we're doing, how we're doing it, how that's the best way to do it. So that's certainly a really, really strong skill, is to understand how to communicate. And I think the other thing is to have that strategic mindset, that you're doing things for the greater good. You've got to make sure that we're doing the best thing, getting the best value out of ratepayers' dollar.
How do you plan to respond to council's community vision?
Look, the community vision underpins everything we do. So what we as a community want to see into the future, we've got to work towards that, and we certainly have a reporting mechanism that does that. So we know that the community really values our natural assets, for example. We know the community wants to see better roads and bridges, and we're certainly addressing that infrastructure backlog. The community wants us to advocate for them as well, around things like a fairer funding model, around climate change, around protection of all of our natural assets. We want clean rivers. We want opportunity. We want to see things like the Great Koala National Park, because we know that that's going to be an economic boom for us into the future.
What do you think are the three key issues for Bellingen Shire in the next term?
Yeah, to nail it down to three is tough, but I think the three that really come to mind for me are, one, climate change. The impact on local government is billions and billions of dollars, and we've seen that. We've seen that with the fires that we saw in 2019. We've seen it again with the floods that we had in 2020, and we're nearly running out of water in 2019. These are all impacts. These are all scientific facts that they are part of a changing climate. So we've got to be better prepared for that stuff. We've got to be a united front, and what we're seeing in local government is over 100 local government areas across Australia have declared a climate emergency. We know that we need funding to address that. So that's, for me, is the number one issue. I think the other one in this community is housing. And whilst that's not local government's responsibility, it's our responsibility as members of this community to do what we can into the future to ensure that we take the best opportunities. So we have done things like waiver the fees on secondary dwellings. We have been part of the housing action group, the Housing Matters Action Group. From the start, we've won awards in terms of our consultation with the community about what we see into the future. So I think it's a really important issue, because we are seeing people that can't afford to live in this community that have been here forever. We're seeing people that are homeless. So we absolutely want to be part of the solution. And I think the final issue is infrastructure. That's always a concern for councils. And what we're seeing is our backlog is reducing. So we are getting to that stage. We are building newer bridges. We've spent more money in the last 5 years than has been spent before. But that's a challenge, because prices are going through the roof. So we've got to be more strategic about that into the future.
And how are you going to balance your issues as a resident and your council decision-making function?
Well, look, we have things like codes of conduct to ensure that that doesn't happen. But look, what I would say to you is all the councillors that I've worked for have always had, what's best for the ratepayers and what's better for the greater good always at the forefront of their mind. So I don't think that's a massive issue. But we've certainly got checks in place. All our meetings are recorded and archived. So, you can look at our annual reports. So we are scrutinised more than any other form of government. So that's certainly an easy question to answer.